Are you bored living a mediocre life? We were too, and we know how to change that. Each week, we'll leave our comfort zones to explore a new topic, then step onto our soapboxes, a safe space to sound off on our latest adventure. Come explore with us. All opinions are welcome. This is a mindset. This is a lifestyle. This is Siren Soapbox.
Hello and welcome, fellow explorers. Thank you for diving in. Our mission is to get you and ourselves out of our comfort zone to explore. Join us on our next adventure. Check out sirensoapbox.com and click Dive In and Explore. Guaranteed to get you out of the mundane. In episode 57, Wolf Point, the Sirens had the honor of having Dr. Ian Smith back on the show for a second time. Instead of discussing dieting, we got to talk about the fictional side of Dr. Ian and the private investigative world of Ash Kane that he created. And you know, that scene with the peanut butter and the rats. In order to properly immerse ourselves into the mind of a gumshoe, we each took a class on private investigating. We wanted to spend as much time as we could discussing our favorite Wolf Point characters with Dr. Ian when we had him on the show, and we skipped talking about all the new knowledge we had learned. So today, we're diving deeper to explore how our classes went, and if we will now be using our newfound skills to be super sleuths. If at any time the conversation gets too intense, the safe word is
Mango.
First up on our soapbox is Mur.
Thanks, Elsie. I took an investigative interviewing course on Udemy for beginners. The class taught me some good techniques for getting answers and gathering information from witnesses to or suspects of an investigation. The course was geared towards gathering information, not interrogation, which is, I think, quite different. The instructor for the course laid out a simple formula for gathering the information and techniques to deal with certain types of witnesses. He said there are 4 ways suspects will behave during an interview. They will tell the truth, they will lie, they will be silent, or there will be some combination of the 3. He said that those willing to tell the truth are actually the most difficult to interview because we often give more credit to our memory than we should. I found that pretty interesting, actually. He also said that those who lie are the most fun to interview because as soon as you catch them in one little lie, you can ask them a barrage of questions that completely blow the lie out of the water. And this seems like a fun challenge. I chose this PI skill because I thought it would be the most beneficial skill to have as an interviewer. And with this podcast, we do a lot of interviews. I think I underestimated how much this particular skill would help with the soapbox, though. But I do have teenage children, and there is an occasion from time to time to investigate a story one of them told. I think I'll have fun putting the skill to use in those situations. I may even get a spotlight that I can shine on them during those interviews. Oh, what fun I'm going to have. Sarah, tell us about your new skill.
Well, when I was deciding what private investigator skill I wanted to learn, I thought it would be really cool to learn how to pick locks. I mean, I do realize when you think about it, if you need to get in somewhere quickly, breaking a window is probably a lot easier, but I really like the stealthy aspect of lock picking for breaking and entering. I mean, for when you lose your keys. So what steps did I take to learn to pick locks? I, of course, started by hitting up Amazon and YouTube. There were a ton of videos to watch on lock picking, and I watched several. My favorite was one done by the lockpicking lawyer. His videos are really great, not only showing you how to pick locks, but how various types of locks work, and also how you can pick a lock without a lockpicking set. He takes paper clips and turns them into lockpicks. I did get a set from Amazon though. It came with a practice lock, which was pretty cool because you could see the inner workings of the lock so that you can understand what it is that you're trying to do when picking a lock. After watching the videos read as a bunch of times, I finally figured it out. I recorded a video of myself doing it, and you can tell by the satisfied smile that I was pretty proud of myself. The best part of the whole experience, though, was getting my whole family involved. I took a bunch of pictures, and I'm sure they'll be available to see on our website, but everyone got really into learning how to pick locks, and it was a total blast. Will I use my new skill? Only for good, not for evil, I promise. Jess, what did you learn how to do?
So for our skills learning, I tried to read a little bit of an online course, but it didn't work very well on my phone. So I gave up and I switched to YouTube to see what I could find. Turns out there's an entire channel called Becoming a Private Investigator, and it was awesome. There are videos covering everything from writing a report to learning how to follow someone. I watched a lot of videos and really wanted to practice following someone. However, that would not have worked because there are not really many roads on the island, and I also don't really know anyone who I could try to follow and then see if they saw me. So instead, I focused on methods of finding people. I've worked in finance for 9 years now, and while I certainly don't want to work in collections, it was interesting in seeing the kinds of methods that they use to track people down. I'm really not sure that I have a future in private investigation that involves more than some general Facebook stalking, but it was cool to see how it works. So, Elsie, do you have a future in private investigation?
Oh, I'm kicking myself over this one. My gut reaction on this challenge was telling me to do something fun, something where I could really show off my new skills and, kind of fake it like I'm actually a private investigator. Something a little bit more outside my comfort zone. And I have to admit that instead, I took the safe route on this one and picked a class that I thought would maybe apply to my everyday job as a drone photographer. We had talked about reaching out to different police departments and using our services in that field, so I thought this could possibly help. I signed up for the NITA's Use Photography as an Investigative Tool class. In the very first section of the class, it said, quote, "It sounds cliche, but listen to your instinct, it knows." And that was the first sign that I probably chose the wrong exercise. And I have to give an honest critique of this class. In my opinion, it needs an update. It's a photography class, and their examples are old, black and white photos, and they are grainy. And I get it, they use their source from old police books. However, for an online class, especially one that's on something as technical as photography as an investigative tool, I should at least be able to see what they're talking about in the lecture. One example was a shoe with a bullet next to it, and the bullet is not even visible in the example. So maybe photography is just something that comes second nature to me because a lot of the information seemed common sense. It was exciting to see that there were a few chapters in Wolf Point where he talks about the placement of video cameras, and all of Dr. Ian's information was correct according to the class. This activity does make me want to take a few more private investigating classes like lockpicking and reading handwriting, like for other things other than words. How do I describe that? um, you all get what I mean. So just goes to show if you don't step outside of your comfort zone, you could be disappointed with your results. As NITA said, listen to your instinct, it knows. Where did your instincts lead you, TC?
For my new skills of investigation, I decided to concentrate on interview skills. I'm pretty good at figuring out how to uncover hidden things. I pay attention to details and I look into things that don't quite feel right until I feel I understand. The one thing that would hold me back from being a good private investigator is the subtle art of knowing when someone is lying. I am quick to give people the benefit of the doubt, and second chances are typically followed with a third and fourth chance as well. So I could stand to learn some of the skills that people in the field use to determine when someone is guilty, or even better, to get them to confess. I read the book, We Get Confessions by Albert Joseph, and I took a course on the Reed technique of interviewing and interrogation for investigators. The book was recommended by a retired police chief who was especially skilled in the art of interview, and the course was recommended by a colleague who has worked in the field of criminal investigation and forensics for over 30 years. I really enjoyed both resources and would recommend either of them to anyone interested in interviewing skills. There were some similarities and some differences between the two, but there were nuggets of brilliance in both. Lieutenant Albert Joseph Jr., the author of We Get Confessions, says, suspects want to confess. Many studies have been done that prove that the majority of the people that do something wrong want to get it off their chests by telling somebody about it. Here's the equation, he says, works every time. Treat them with respect, plus bullshit them a little, plus get them to like you equals sell them a vacuum cleaner or get that confession. And yes, he was a vacuum salesman before he became a cop. I loved his salty old cop, no nonsense way of writing. I definitely think I'll use some of the skills I learned. These skills are really just good life skills. I've always wanted to know how to pick locks though, so I think I'm going to order Siren Sarah's lock picking, which you'll be able to find on our shop on sirensoapbox.com.
I
soon.
cannot
There
wait.
it is, right there.
I cannot wait to learn how to pick a lock.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that everything that it came with, Sarah? I see a
Yep.
a clear lock and some keys.
Well, there's the key so that when you get really, really frustrated, you can prove that, yes, it does open. But it's really cool because I don't know if you can see in there, but you can see all the different pins in there. You can't really
That's
see on
really
the video
cool.
very well.
I
I
see him.
will- I
And-
want to say that it is crazy that it's that easy to get a lock picking set and to learn how to pick a lock.
I know.
See all the pics.
Right?
I think it's hilarious that Sarah had her children learn this skill with her.
Do you remember the pictures? I showed you the pictures.
Yes,
I had
it's
all three of
awesome.
them.
That is amazing. You're like the best mom ever.
Yeah, and there was Bill right there with us when they were having trouble giving them tips.
So Elsie, you were talking about the pictures. My brother would always take pictures when he was working on different cases. And one day he sent me in the mail an envelope, and it had a folded piece of paper. I opened up the paper, and it said, well, on the front of the paper, it said, look at the first picture first and see if you can see why I sent it to you, and then look at the second picture. So I look at the first picture, and it's a black and white. So I don't know if cops still use black and white photos. I don't know what the deal is with that. That'd be an interesting thing to know.
Wow.
But so the first was a black and white picture of tire tracks, like tire marks on the road. So I'm looking at it, studying it. I'm trying to figure out where they were, trying to figure out why he sent this to me. I couldn't figure it out. So then I flipped to the second picture, and it's a close-up of this one spot where the tire tracks have an irregularity. That spot was a squished dead turtle.
Oh,
Why would he send that to
Why
you?
would they send that? That's terrible.
what a mean brother.
You guys
It
all
was
said that like you don't know Bill.
I know, that's what I thought too.
That's
Actually,
so
I
mean.
did laugh. It was pretty funny, but it was literally a police scene photo. And when he saw the close-up, he's like, oh my God, I've got to send this to my sister.
I bet it was black and white because he photocopied it. So Elsie, was
No,
there?
it was a photograph. It was
like an
a-
actual developed photograph.
yeah.
Did they say anything about color versus black and white in the class you took?
No, nothing. And even when you go, like, I kept trying to click on the picture to make it bigger so I can, zoom in, and you can't even do that. It seemed, in my opinion, like it was kind of thrown together. I don't know that I'd do another class with them.
So this is what I've decided. I feel like you should continue to learn more about forensic photography, maybe even talk to some police officers or something
Oh,
to
that's a
learn.
good idea.
And then, build a
Breaking my tools.
relationship. And then you can, maybe help them with some investigations. But then you create a course.
Oh, I feel
For
like I'm being
forensic
challenged
photography.
now. There we go. I'll make it on
Wow.
Udemy.
Yeah, I think you'd be good at it, putting that together.
Thank you.
We lost Sarah on this episode because she's now concentrating on picking a lock.
I am. I'm gonna pick this lock on
And
YouTube
apparently
right
she's
here.
breaking her tools doing it.
Jess,
did.
I want you to know that I find it a little fascinating to think about being able to tail someone without them knowing I'm back there.
I
Me
know, I want to
too.
try it.
Yeah.
Maybe now that Ben is here, when his motorcycle gets here, I'll make him just drive aimlessly and I'll try to follow him.
See, I think you got to be a sneaky surprise. Like Mark,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna tail Mark one day. I mean, he knows it because he's listening to this episode, I'm sure. But I think I'm gonna like steal a strange car, not steal, maybe borrow it, and tail Mark one day just to see what it's like.
Yeah,
Mer,
that's
you
what I'm
can learn
thinking.
how to pick the locks of the
Yeah.
car and learn how to hot wire it, and then
Mark's gonna be like, you know what, this PI thing has gotten way out of hand.
when you get arrested, just explain. No, this is for a podcast.
The
I did it all
podcast
for the
made me
soapbox.
do it.
All for
I'm
the
not
soapbox.
really.
Soapbox.
That's right.
The soapbox made me do it.
I'm not
Soapbox
really a
totally
criminal.
made me do it.
The soapbox made me do it.
That's got to be a sticker.
I would
Uh,
need a different car because currently my car is the only one on the island with Ohio plates. So
Dude,
Yeah.
my Jeep is bright blue. How am I hiding from anyone in that?
you're not.
It's true. And my car is black, so it's pretty, especially in the winter months, it's very blender innery.
My
Right,
car is
right.
not enclosed, so you can see me in it at all times.
You have to wear a
Oh.
disguise.
Yes, that
Ooh,
nobody
oh.
picked disguises.
We should. Okay, we need to
Shit.
do all of this all over again.
Shit, man.
Wait,
Hot
doesn't
wiring.
Sarah have like 18 cars? Couldn't we all borrow one of Sarah's cars?
Yes.
Motorcycle.
Costumes.
18
Everybody
motorcycles.
could get on their own, a different motorcycle here.
Yeah, we
And
need to
you-
learn the art of disguise
On motorcycles.
on motorcycles.
Oh.
This
gonna
was
happen.
a lot of fun, though. I used to read Sue Grafton, the Alphabet series, and
Mhm.
I really did want to be a private investigator, and I still kind of do. So
I
Yeah, I
kind of
think
feel
it would
like
be a fun career.
it would.
doesn't anybody feel like maybe it's kind of romanticized a little bit and it's probably a lot of paperwork?
My God, you know what it's a lot of? Catching people cheating on their spouses, I bet.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's where that
doesn't sound
Facebook
fun.
stalking would come in handy.
Try having that job and not getting cynical.
Right?
That's
I
why
think
I
that
don't
would
want to
be
work
tough.
collections. You got people lying to you all day, every day. So many dead grandmas. There aren't enough grandmas in the world.
I just wouldn't want to ask people who don't have money for more money. That's why collections would suck.
I couldn't do it. I'd become too jaded. I don't want to become that jaded.
Yeah.
So, Mur and TC, your topics were pretty similar, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were.
Do you guys use your skills now on the daily?
Just like I use Munzie when I visit a strange town, I forget.
Yeah, I
Um,
haven't really had occasion to use it.
Please
It's
break
interest-
out a lamp and video like interrogating one of your teenagers. I would love that.
I mean, the kind of stuff that I learned was key questions that you can ask people, and how somebody who's lying would answer, and how somebody who's telling the truth would answer in general. There's just so many factors, like people's culture and how stressed they are and how much trouble they think they would or would not get in. There's a lot of different factors that go into play, but it was interesting to learn some of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I want to remember to use. Like, I want to remember to listen closer to how people answer, whether they go into a lot of description or just answer the question.
Is a lot of description typically a lie?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
And
wa-
the thing I read said, let them keep talking and just
Hell
take
yeah.
note of all that description, because they're not going to be able to remember it.
Yeah, Judge Judy says that all the time. I don't know if you guys know this, but when I work from home, I watch Judge Judy also. Rachel Ray, then Judge Judy. Anyway, that's what she says. She's like, if you're telling the truth, you don't have to remember it.
Exactly.
When you're lying, you got to keep it all straight, and you won't keep it all straight.
Nope.
Right.
The same lie, say it again and again. I'm like, it'll change.
And one of the other questions is, if you ask somebody what should happen to the person who did the thing. Very often, if they're innocent, that some kind of punishment is involved, because they'll probably just do it again. But if they're guilty, then usually they'll say it depends on why they did it, or there'll be some leniency involved.
Yeah, that
Sounds
makes
like you'd
sense.
have to use those skills in a situation where they're busted for something and not just every day lying.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, my guy gave us sort of a formula for gathering information and filling in the gaps. He said, before you ever even interview someone, what you should do is make a list of the things you know and a list of the unknowns. And then you take the things that you know, you write each of them down on a card. And, I'm imagining like a wall with, like in a manifest where these strings connecting things. But anyway, you take these index cards that have all of your the things you know on them, and you place them in chronological order. And then you kind of when you meet with your witness, you kind of step through all of those things that you know in chronological order, and you ask detailed questions about each of those things in order.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I liked that formula. That's kind of nice. Although I gotta be honest, when I'm sitting down with my teenagers because I'm pissed off at them because I believe they're lying to me about something, I'm probably not going to take the time to organize my thoughts into the
Cards.
knowns and unknowns in chronological order.
I'll be right back. I'm going to go into the kitchen, and you go in and you look at your cards in a wall, and you come back and you're like, so after you drove to his house, what happened then?
No, you just need to wheel out like a cork board.
Oh yeah.
And
sure.
like they'd be so intimidated that they
That's
will
right.
confess.
The cork board with the lamp clamped to the top of it that I can shine on them.
Yes.
It's going to be my interrogation station.
Interrogation station. That's hilarious.
Oh, I love it. I'm writing that one down.
Sorry, did you get
it.
Sort of, but for some reason,
How do you sort of? It's either locked or unlocked, my friend.
I know, but the problem is because I think I had all my kids using my little twister thingy is all twisted. So I can't get enough twisty motion on my twisty part.
Just having
There's a
problems
lot
putting
of
it in the hole.
Huh? What?
You put it in the hole too much. The twisty gets a little worn down.
I'm gonna just keep playing.
Wow.
It's fun to keep playing.
Yeah, it is. It is fun to keep playing. Hey, Elsie, I really want you to learn more about forensic photography. I'm really sad for you that you didn't.
I am too, but it was a lesson that I need to step more outside my comfort zone. So I'm glad for that lesson. And I think that that's really good advice because I know a couple cop friends. I'm going to do some research.
Cool.
I like it. So while Sarah works on that lock, that's her challenge. We're going to leave you with a challenge. We think you should learn a new PI skill and then tell us all about it. You can share it with us on Facebook or Instagram. Oh, good job.
Also, another quick interruption. Black and white photos are less sensationalistic than color. So crime scene photos were shot in black and white, so they were more likely to be admissible in court.
So the blood doesn't look dramatically red.
That's my guess.
Huh.
Do they still use that though?
This says,
it's bizarre that they didn't say that in your course. You would think that they'd be like, I realize that color photography is a thing, but
he says it no longer holds true. But in this book, like in both the class and this book, they talked a lot about what would be admissible in court. So it's not just learning who done it, it's being able to pin it on the person. That matters. You can know who did it, but if you can't get a jury to find them guilty, it doesn't do you any good to know who did it. So I think that's where the black and white photos. He says defense attorneys didn't want the little old lady on the jury to be shocked and appalled, but it's less likely to have a negative impact on the jury, the black and white pictures. So they were more often admissible in court.
But you would think for investigating, you would need color but I get it for judge and jury to be less sensational. I'm going to do more research. I'll do a follow-up and let everybody know.
Maybe they took both, but the ones we see are black and white because those are the ones that are released. I don't know. He says it no longer holds true.
See how many times we can interrupt Mer during her outro.
I know.
It no longer holds true because video games.
Exactly.
All right. So yeah, go ahead and learn a new PI skill. And then share it with us on Facebook or Instagram by using the hashtag Siren Soapbox. And if you're following us on social media, you'll get all the alerts for our new episodes, our new blog posts, plus a daily dose of siren wisdom. And you can visit our website, sirensoapbox.com, for everything Siren Soapbox. Until next time, dive in, stay curious, and be happy. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Siren Soapbox, and a special thank you to C Strings for providing our music. Snag their latest EP from iTunes today. Follow the Sirens on all the social medias, and don't forget to tell your friends about us. Like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. We'll catch you next time on another episode of Siren Soapbox.